Hi, I'm Adam Fenig with Fenig Equipment, and you're tuned into the Talking Shed.
Stephanie Smith, Regional Agronomy Manager for 360 Yield Center.
And we're here in Coldwater, Ohio, here at our Fenig Equipment shop. And we had a lot of rain here this week, and a lot of guys are out of the field. This is probably a popular scene in a lot of guys' shops this week, is the corn heads pulled in. And we want to go over some things, and what can we cover this week?
Sure. I just want to talk a little bit about our product called 360 Yield Saver. So essentially what we're doing here is eliminating our header loss when we're combining corn. And in my perspective, it works really three ways. First thing this is going to do is going to cushion that ear. Typically when we get drier corn under 18%, the way that combine head works is that those stalk rolls pulls the plant through, and that ear corn, the butt of it strikes those hard deck plates.
Yep.
When that drier corn ear hits those deck plates, we get that butt shelling to occur, and we lose yield.
Yep.
So first thing this thing's going to do is going to cushion that ear. We're not getting that butt shelling to occur. Second thing it's going to do is, if there is any type of shelling, this is kind of like a draper head per se for your corn head.
Yep.
It's going to bring all of that grain up into the head. The third thing is, we don't like to talk about it, but occasionally we grow a few little nubbins. What this is going to do is regardless of where our deck plates are set, we're going to be able to bring in more of those ears. So we're just getting all of that grain we worked so hard throughout the year to grow.
Yeah. So we talk with a lot of customers about this, and I'll ask some questions that I hear a lot. Number one, will we see more residue being pulled in?
Yeah, we always get the question of the residue. Here, once you look at a row, you can see that we fully filled that gap in between our deck plates. So there's three things we need to make sure we do so we don't get more residue. The first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure our stalk rolls are in good condition. And when I say good condition, if you can slip a little bit over a business card through those stalk rolls,
Yep.
we're probably needing to adjust or perhaps replace at that point.
Gotcha.
Getting that tolerance set is very important. The second thing we need to do is we need to widen our deck plates.
Okay.
So set them out a half inch wider. Here we are pulling that plant through very aggressively, very rapidly throughout that head. When we widen them out, we're going to be in a better place. The third thing we need to do is we need to speed up these chains. Okay, obviously here you can see we have a lot more friction and abrasion. So when we speed up those chains, we're able to get that grain up into the head very efficiently. If we do those three things, a residue is not going to be an issue.
Good. Yeah. And this fall, we are seeing a lot drier corn. I know ourselves, we were shelling, and that 17% moisture corn, it would hit the standard chains and shatter. Not only that, but we did have a lot of those small ears from the drowning out we saw this spring. There's a lot of things that the yield savers can not only cushion, but capture those small kernels as well.
That's right.
Another thing that a lot of guys ask about, but you covered, is the speed of those chains. We do want to run those quite a bit faster. What is the typical savings bushel-wise that you're seeing this fall?
Yep, it's really all across the board, Adam. Guys most of the times think of wetter corn, we're not saving as much because we don't have as much shelling, and drier corn it's more.
Yep.
Typical rule of thumb, we're going to say somewhere around 2 bushels an acre. I've been in some fields where it's been 4 to 5, and it's a whole collaboration of things. It's hybrid, it's ground speed, it's grain moisture, it's standability of the crop. There's just a whole lot of factors that come into play when we estimate how much we're saving.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk to growers, that's one thing we really like about the Yield Saver is we're not necessarily selling a product that's going to grow them more corn. We're just helping capture what they work so hard for all year at harvest time to help put more corn in the bin.
And that's right. It's not a change in management, it's a change of change and run that head a little bit faster.
Correct. Yep. So, as you can see, we've got these 2 chains here. Whenever you order them from Yield 360, you can either get them unassembled or assembled like you see, and simply put them on just like you would your standard chain. Now the big question is life of them.
Yeah, the number one question on most everyone's minds. What we will say, if you take a look at these brushes, they are poly. As we all know, poly will wear. It's kind of like tires. What I'm going to tell you is 150 acres per row. Obviously, when some people run their tires, they push them, and some people want to replace them at that point.
Yep.
So 150 acres per row, we have 8-row head, that's 1,200 acres of corn, no problem. I have some guys that are pushing that 8-row head up to 3,000 acres. It just really depends on the stalk diameter, the amount of sand in your soil, the abrasion on that head. The other thing to keep in mind is that 150 acres, it's not like they fall off, right? We just see a decrease in the amount of kernels that we're saving.
Correct.
Fresh out of the box, we say that we're going to save about 85% of the kernels out there. When we get to 150 acres per row, we're probably still saving 55 to 60%. So in my perspective with 350 corn, 65% is still a very good day in comparison to our typical OEM chains.
Correct.
Most people see these chains as a higher price and thinking that I can't justify that. Well, if we save at least 2 bushels an acre, right, over 1,200 acres, that's 2,400 bushels. You get the pencil out, and if you sell 350 corn, or even if you sell 320 corn, we're still coming out ahead. The other thing to keep in mind is our volunteer corn the next year. Volunteer corn you don't get from those kernels that lie on the ground. You get volunteer corn from those nubbins or those split ears that fall on the ground. Yep. Select fusilage, $4 to $5 an acre. There is cost savings there in terms of protecting your investment that you're making.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, not only this year putting bushels in the bin, but next year on chemical. There's a lot of savings to be had, and I think if you were to study your head, pull into the field, back up and count, what is it, 2 kernels per square foot?
That's correct.
Is a bushel. And you can do an assessment on your own head, and most heads that we're finding, there is some room for improvement.
That's right.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so here in a little bit, you're going to see some demonstrations going on, but that's what we've got for the introduction of the product. And thanks for tuning in.